peacefully from one president to another. It is now 40 years. No peaceful handover of power from one president to another. What independence is that? Me, I'm asking. Independence? Where Ugandans cannot decide, where the civil society, civic space is captured. Some of us are chased everywhere we go to try to do. You remember Sedu, which was looking over the elections and so on, and when I became a chair, it was closed completely so that he doesn't talk, but I continue talking because that is the talent I got. You remember when they gave talents? I've got to account for my talent when I go to heaven. And so, central, and I should finish, then we'll debate. Central to the problem of governance in this country, which leads to violation of our constitution and forgetting what? Constitutionalism is what drives people into leadership in this country, especially the political leadership. What should drive people into leadership should be people. You should be self-centered, you should be people-centered and service-oriented. You go to positions of power, to get power, to use it, to serve your people and your nation. That is the leadership I knew. That is the leadership for which we are getting these awards. That one. But the current leadership right down the road as it moves has been overtaken by self-centeredness and power-oriented. People want power to use it for their self-interests. So, with that kind of thing, what constitutionalism are you talking about? Central to the Constitution were human rights. Human rights was very central. People are suffering. Then come greed. Have you ever, the other day I was saying, but surely I think our land is cursed because greed for land, torturing, oppressing. You ended with that statement, the animal farm, where those people who came to deliver us and we embraced, they have really oppressed, exploited, manipulated, that people are crying. Our guest of honor, Chief Speaker, people are crying for you, you live in your country, but people are suffering, people are crying, the oppressed, the poor, the gap between the rich and the poor is just too much. If you are poor, no treatment. The members of parliament, the ministers, they fly them away for treatment. For you, you die there suffering. Yes, relative stability, you said, yes, they are sleeping. But are they sleeping in peace or in pain? Really, this is serious. Now, I think I have said that fear, self-centeredness, and no constitutionalism, but constitution. Some form of godliness without respecting its power. One thing that our guest speaker said, which came into my mind, the second one, not Professor, I won't quote your words, but they are there. I wish you could read them for us. But he said that something in this country is glooming. Those are my words. And unless it is halted or dealt with, we are in to see a full burst. I said, hey, kumbe the guest knows our things. Because for sure, all of you know whatever is going on, even with the elections. By the way, have you ever seen that Parliament is not sitting? Why? Because the Speaker is accompanying the President in campaign. You people, where is the democracy? Where is constitutionalism? Where is it? I must finish here, and then we'll challenge me, and then we shall see how we move. But let me conclude by saying this. Many people condemn us I'm sure Professor also knows. But for him, he could have stopped that commission. But for us who went to see and made the constitution, we are being accused. It is our fault. We are the people who gave the president the centralized power that he must do anything he wants. I want to tell you today, having been given this opportunity, that that's a lie. The president abuses power. We gave him the right power. We looked at Uganda, we said, you know, the president is answerable for anything that goes wrong or right. And so since he's answerable, once a president is elected, we should give him peace, I mean some way to nominate those people whom he thinks can work with him to lead this country. We said he should have that right to nominate. But we said, since Parliament represents us as people, and since power belongs to the people, as we said in the Constitution, and we have given this power which belongs to us, to the members of Parliament and to the President to lead us. Now let the President, who will be answerable finally, have the authority and power to nominate the people he wants to work with. He called the Parliament, not this. Yes, we would decide. You know, when we decided, he made sure he fought us, and we got out and he captured the Parliament. But we would decide, we censured even ministers. We censured them. We would refuse to endorse an appointment. But now, even when the Parliament censures the minister stays there working. Can you imagine a minister, you censured the minister, he's supposed to go. And now he appears before you. And now he has a budget, and you give it. How do you see her? Why don't you throw her out? But does our Parliament do that? It has been demeaned. It has been made powerless. It has been like you bow down to this holy person up there, and we are just done. Otherwise, the Parliament is the one supposed to endorse or reject. It handed over its power. It surrendered itself. It bowed, like, I don't want to use those tough words, but I would have said it, but we have guests here. I want them to think I'm very good. You just bow your authority, and then they walk on you and you move on. You people, so stop condemning us. The man has no absolute power. He only abuses power. He violates the Constitution, and then the rest say yes, and it is your fault. So you better rise up and redeem yourself.
Our Constitution, which was popularly made, you people, this was the first time Ugandans sat together and they said yes.
Colonialism is gone. Those constitutions made by those people are gone. This is the moment, this is the time we Ugandans are sitting here to recreate our Uganda, because the other one was cut like this, and we were building a foundation on which to build the new Uganda. And move on. That's why the expectations. If you look at the principles, I had noted them down, but I don't know where I put my notebook. Senior age is coming in. But the principles, Sarah, you know them in our preamble, the principles upon which the new constitution were based, and we are seeing a new Uganda. And we elected, and Ugandans talked, and this is what we want, this is where we want to go. And the CA put this, yes, this is it. And then we went very happy and held elections in 1996, you know, to put President Museveni in official power. Because the other 10 years, he had taken over government and overthrown constitutions. So he was able to make sure that we make a constitution. At the 1996 elections, the first elections within the Constitution, to start implementing the Constitution, and I want to thank the Lord that I was also there. And that time, election violence, no. Rigging, no. Bribe, no. All those things were not there. And so we start implementing our Constitution. Before 9 years or what? this constitution is critically injured. What do you call it when they cut your leg? Amputated. Thank you very much. That constitution, by 10 years, it was amputated by removing crucial thing that Ugandans were concerned about. But before that, as a person who started implementing the constitution, I came to realize, I told you I'm not going into diplomacy. I came to realize that leadership seemed not to have understood constitutionalism. You know, wanting a constitution. You know, in the Bible there is a statement which says that some Christians have a form of godliness, but denying its power. So now, in this country, the leadership wanted a constitution, but denying its power. And for me, I say maybe they didn't understand the power of a constitution. They thought that a constitution is a mere paper. And I personally had our president telling us, constitution is a mere paper. And that's what President Obote had also said, but a constitution is a mere paper. So if our leaders see a constitution as just a mere paper, without understanding constitutionalism, then what do you say? I'm telling you these things because we are looking at the journey of the Constitution. So ours ended in 10 years. Then after that, the Constitutional Review Commission, which came now and cut the leg and facilitated or enabled disabled and disabled the constitution to work. You see, started limping. And that's when things began. But it was brought by the realization that the principle of separation of powers affects or disturbs the executive. Because it was very clear, I don't know whether any of you, Sarah, you remember that case of Bujagari. That was the beginning. When Bujagari, the executive, wanted to give a contract to make electricity in Bujagari to a company in America, and now the parliament took its authority and looked at it and said, no, this is not right. We are not taking this. Sixth Parliament. You people, you always hear how Sixth Parliament is a pain in the neck of our president. The Sixth Parliament stood up like he was saying, no, we have our authority. We must take authority here. Executive, you are not going to order us here, like the NRC previously. And that was hell. Hell broke loose from that time. You people who don't know what is happening with this constitution and all that kind of thing. That the principle of separation of powers, where the president realized that, hey, you mean I am hampered in being the Professor Sempewa, what he told us, he's the head of the household. He tells these women and children, don't talk, don't talk. So all of a sudden he sees the wife talking now. Something must happen to you. So there was now a new strategy to recapture the authority from the institutions of the state, those three institutions, the parliament, the judiciary, and me as I talk, because I don't want to take long, because they have said it all, but I said I'm diplomatizing it for you. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, down the road, the parliament, the constitution of Uganda, the parliament who was working with implementing the constitution ended with the 7th parliament. And you all know, you who were there. Because when the term limit was proposed and removed and was to be removed, And the Ugandans were saying no. Some of us were the leaders who said no. Why? Because we knew what Ugandans want. We knew what Ugandans want. We were seeing them. We saw their passion. They said, this country, you are telling us of a constitution, but we can tell you, you cannot. What does the constitution mean when the president can never hand power peacefully? Their concern was, unless we have peaceful handover of power from one president to another, then this constitution does not make sense to us. And we asked them, so what do we do? And they said, let us limit the term of the president. Because the president comes in, they have power, they have military, they have resources, we cannot talk. You know, my senior here was saying, let us raise the demonstration. Which demonstration? Where will you demonstrate from? You know, my senior, you are telling them, let us do this, but you are telling the wrong people. All these people seated here have no right to do. That is the truth. The ones who have right to do are not here. I hope they will read those things, but even if they do. So, for me, as far as I'm concerned, was removed, and was removed through corruption. Who doesn't know this? When we stood up very tough, 5 million came. The parliament was bribed. They removed the term limit, and the beginning started. Right from the 8th parliament, implementation of the constitution, the principle of separation of powers, and then the judiciary was raped. So now, in other words, he was saying diplomatically, but the principle of separation of powers does not apply in this country. You all know that. You look at the executive. Who rules the executive? Don't you know? In the constitutionalism, where is the position of the first family? Is it there? Is it given role? But practically, this country, who does? Me, I came here to undiplomaticalize these things so that you see them very properly. And I'm not going to talk too much. That constitution, as I told you, when you look at the principles which it had put, unity, peace, freedom, equality, we had suffered with the military. We had suffered the way we are suffering now. Militarization. Me, I call the rulership in this country military dictatorship. Whether you talk of elections, to me, they mean nothing. This is me. You called me to talk as a person who started and saw the journey and saw where it is ending now. And I want to say that Ugandans have been captured. The institutions have been captured. For you, you are captured by fear. I don't know whether it is fear for jobs, whether fear for your lives. You just bow anyhow and you go on. So where is the